world is noisy. So what does it actually mean to find a moment of quiet? Today, we're pulling up a chair and looking inside a book built around that very idea, Sunday Table by Tim Lamb. It's a 52-week devotional, and we're going to deconstruct it, look at where it came from, what makes it work, and what it hopes to achieve. Right at its heart, the entire book is this one simple, powerful invitation. It's just asking you to sit down, to consciously step away from all the chaos of daily life and just connect. And this metaphor of the table, it's not just a title. It creates this immediate feeling of welcome, a safe space for reflection.
Okay, so to really get this book, we have to start where it started. And its origin story is probably a lot more recent and way more relatable than you might think.
Yeah, you heard that right. This wasn't a project dreamed up in some quiet library or a publisher's meeting. It literally started at the author's breakfast table during the pandemic, as simple online posts he'd share on Sunday mornings. So this is a book that grew right out of a time when so many of us were feeling pretty disconnected. And you can see it right there in the author's own words. What started as this very personal weekly thing to just share some encouragement online, well, that became the blueprint for the 52-week book we're talking about today. Pretty cool, right? From a breakfast table to a bookshelf. So now that we know where it came from, what's one of these weekly entries actually look like? Well, the author thinks of it as a recipe. So let's break down the ingredients he uses every single week. I love this metaphor. It's so good. Instead of just chapters, you get ingredients. It immediately tells you that this is a consistent, carefully crafted formula that's designed to give you a specific experience each and every week. So, what's in the mix? And here they are. Every single week follows this exact 7-part format. It starts with the foundation, scripture and teaching. Then it gets personal with stories and quotes. And finally, it gets actionable with a challenge, a thought for leaders, and a guided prayer. This consistent recipe creates this predictable, steady rhythm that guides you through a whole cycle of reflection and application. So if you follow this weekly structure, what's the bigger picture? When you step back and look at all the devotions together, a few key themes really start to pop. We've boiled them down to 3 big ideas: overcoming adversity, finding your purpose, and the importance of practice. First up is adversity. This book really dives into how we handle life's toughest moments. It doesn't try to ignore pain or brush it aside. Instead, it reframes it as something that could actually be a source of strength. And to make this point, the author gets incredibly real and vulnerable. He shares his own deep struggles, from having a bad speech impediment as a teenager to literally surviving a cardiac arrest. He talks about money problems and feeling totally abandoned. This isn't abstract theory. It's grounded in tough, lived experiences. In this quote right here, from the chapter called Platform, this is the heart of it. The book makes this argument that our biggest weaknesses, the things we really dislike about ourselves, are often the very foundation, the platform, that God uses to show His strength in our lives. It's a total flip of how we usually think about our flaws. The second big theme is purpose. But the book comes at it with this really practical, clarifying distinction. It draws a super sharp line between your lifelong purpose, with a capital P, and your daily assignments. So as you can see, assignments, those are the short-term tasks, right? The stuff that changes all the time. But your purpose, that's the consistent, long-range calling, your big why. The book argues that just knowing the difference between these two can help you get through confusing times, helping you see that even the random daily tasks can connect back to that bigger purpose. And finally, that third theme is all about practice. Sunday Table is packed with actionable advice, encourages these really tangible habits, like what the author calls bookends, just starting and ending your day with God. It champions things like journaling, actively seeking God even when you feel distant, and intentionally working toward a life of peace. So you've got this structure, you've got these themes, but what's the end game? What is this book designed to do for someone who actually sticks with it for a whole year? It all comes down to this number, 52. This isn't just a random collection of thoughts. It's a deliberate 52-week curriculum. That structure implies a real commitment. It's framing this not as a quick read, but as a year-long journey of steady engagement and, hopefully, transformation. And this endorsement here really spells out the whole promise of the book. The stated goal is nothing short of transformation. The core belief is that if you consistently immerse yourself in these ideas week after week for a whole year, it has the power to fundamentally change your life. So we end right back where we started, with that invitation to a table. After looking at its origins, its recipe, and its core messages, the final question is really for the reader. If this book is a 52-week invitation to sit down and just retreat from all the noise, what might someone who accepts that invitation actually find waiting for them? That's the question Sunday Table leaves you with.